Imagine a calm yet powerful tone, engaging the audience deeply from the first sentence. My friends, have you ever paused for a moment and asked yourself, why do two people go through the same struggle, yet one breaks while the other builds? Why does one person see a problem and feel defeated, while another sees the same problem and finds a way to rise? The difference, my dear friends, lies not in their circumstances, not in their opportunities, not even in their luck, but in their thinking. The way you think is silently shaping your destiny. Every action you take, every word you speak, every decision you make, it all begins in the unseen chamber of your mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your life. They build your habits shape your character, and your character defines your future. If the foundation of your thoughts is weak, your entire life wobbles. But if your thinking is aligned with peace, purpose, and faith in the divine, no storm can shake you. We often look outward for change, waiting for a better job, better people, or better times. But the truth is, the change you seek in life starts within you. A person who masters the art of right thinking becomes unstoppable. Because even when life gets tough, their inner world stays strong. When your mind is connected with the wisdom of God, not in a religious way, but in a deeply spiritual way, you begin to see challenges not as punishments, but as preparations. You stop reacting and start reflecting. You stop complaining and start creating. So today, let us explore this truth together, that the way you think is deciding your future. And if you can change the way you think, you can transform the entire direction of your life. Your mind is the seedbed of your destiny. Every thought that takes root in your mind silently begins to grow, shaping who you become and what your life turns into. Just as a farmer cannot expect to grow mangoes by planting thorns, you cannot expect a life full of peace, success, and joy if your mind is constantly sowing seeds of fear, doubt, and anger. The soil of your mind is always fertile. It will grow whatever you feed it. If you nourish it with love, faith, gratitude, and wisdom, it will bloom into a life filled with purpose and serenity. But if you let it be overrun by weeds of negativity, it will choke your own growth. Think about it. Before every achievement, there was first a thought. Before every downfall, there was also a thought. A person does not just wake up and become great, nor do they just fail by accident. It all begins with what they allow to take root in their inner world. A mind that constantly says, I can't do this, creates its own limitations. A mind that says, I can try, I can grow, slowly builds doors where there were once only walls. Every destiny begins in the invisible world of thought before it becomes visible in the physical world of action. Imagine two people standing before the same challenge. One says, this is impossible, and gives up before trying. The other says, this may be hard, but it's not impossible. The difference is not in their strength or intelligence, but in their thinking. The mind of one is like a garden where weeds have taken over. The mind of the other is cultivated, cared for, and directed toward growth. The outcome is always a reflection of the inner condition. Our lives are not ruled by luck, but by the silent habits of our thinking. Every morning you wake up, you are given the chance to plant something new in your mind. You can start the day worrying about what could go wrong, or you can start by trusting that whatever comes your way, you'll grow through it. Your mind listens to what you repeatedly tell it. If you feed it with doubt, it will echo that doubt in every situation. But if you feed it with faith, faith not just in yourself, but in the divine wisdom that governs this universe, Your thoughts begin to align with peace, and life starts aligning with your purpose. A young man once said to a wise monk, "I want to change my life, but nothing ever works for me." The monk smiled and asked, "What do you tell yourself every day?" The young man replied, "I tell myself that I'm unlucky, that people are against me, that I don't have what it takes." The monk nodded and said, "Then your life is simply following the script you've written in your own mind. Change your thoughts, and you'll rewrite your story." This is the truth we often overlook. Life does not move according to our wishes, it moves according to our mindset. The mind is like a mirror. It reflects whatever it receives. If you fill it with anger, you'll see the world as an enemy. If you fill it with compassion, you'll find kindness everywhere. The divine has given every human the same raw material, a mind capable of creating heaven or hell on earth. The power lies not in changing the world, but in changing the way we see the world. When we take care of our inner landscape, the outer landscape starts transforming naturally. You might have met people who have very little, yet they smile with contentment, and others who have everything, yet their hearts are restless. The difference again lies in their thinking. One has trained the mind to be grateful for small blessings, the other has trained it to complain despite abundance. When you start practicing gratitude, your thoughts shift from what is missing to what is meaningful. And that shift alone can change the entire vibration of your life. There will always be moments when your mind wants to spiral into negativity, when things don't go as planned, when people misunderstand you, or when challenges seem too heavy. But in those moments, pause and remember, you are the gardener of your mind. You decide what grows there. You can either feed the weeds of worry or water the seeds of wisdom. You can let anger take over, or you can breathe deeply and let understanding guide you. The choice is yours, always yours. And remember, even the most beautiful gardens need constant care. You can't plant positive thoughts once and expect your life to bloom forever. You must keep tending it through daily reflection, prayer, silence, and mindful living. That is how you remove the weeds of negativity and keep your inner world clean. The divine energy flows easily through a mind that is calm, clear, and conscious. Such a mind becomes a channel of peace, not only for itself but for everyone around it. What you focus on, you magnify. This truth may sound simple, but it holds the power to completely transform your life. The energy of your mind flows toward whatever you give attention to. If you focus on pain, the pain grows. If you focus on peace, peace grows. Every day, you are unconsciously watering something in your inner world. The question is, are you watering weeds or flowers? Most people don't realize that they are magnifying their misery by constantly replaying it in their mind. They keep thinking about what went wrong, who hurt them, or what could go badly next. And in doing so, they give strength to those very things they want to escape. The mind doesn't know what's real or imagined. It simply expands what you dwell upon. Think about a camera lens. Wherever the camera focuses, everything else fades into the background. The picture becomes sharper, clearer, and more defined in that area. The same happens in life. Whatever you choose to focus on becomes the center of your emotional picture, and everything else blurs away. You might be surrounded by blessings, but if you fixate on one problem, that problem will occupy your whole world. You could have 99 things going right, but the one thing that's wrong steals all your attention, and soon your peace. A person once said, "My life is full of problems." The wise teacher replied, No, your life is full of situations. It's your focus that decides whether they become problems or possibilities. Every situation has two sides, the side of pain and the side of purpose. When you train your mind to see purpose, life begins to expand in beautiful ways. But when your focus stays on pain, life begins to shrink. The art of living peacefully lies not in controlling what happens, but in controlling where your mind chooses to rest. Imagine two friends walking through a garden. One is constantly pointing out the weeds, the dry leaves, and the thorns. The other notices the colors, the fragrance, and the beauty. Both are in the same garden, yet one feels miserable and the other feels grateful. The difference is not in the garden, it is in their focus. Life is that garden. You can walk through it every day and complain about the thorns, or you can be in awe of the flowers. Whichever you focus on becomes your reality. Let's take a simple daily example. Suppose you are driving to work and someone cuts you off in traffic. You can spend the entire day fuming about that one moment, letting your mood, your productivity, and your peace crumble. Or you can take a breath, say, maybe they were in a hurry, maybe something is going on in their life, and let it go. You can't control the other driver, but you can control your focus. And when you choose peace over irritation, you protect your inner state. You become free. This applies to every area of life. In relationships, if you focus on what's missing, you'll find reasons to be unhappy. But if you focus on what's meaningful, you'll find reasons to love. In work, if you focus only on the struggle, you'll feel burdened. But if you focus on the purpose, you'll feel inspired. Energy flows where attention goes. The divine has given us this incredible power to choose what we magnify. When we use it wisely, we can rise above any circumstance. A young woman once came to a monk and said, "I keep attracting negative people and experiences into my life. Why does this happen?" The monk smiled and said, "Because your focus is on avoiding negativity, not on creating positivity. The more you think about what you don't want, the more you give it energy. The universe mirrors your dominant vibration. If your mind is full of fear, you attract fear-based situations. If it's full of faith, you attract grace. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy, and your energy is shaped by your focus. When you focus on gratitude, even small things feel abundant. The food you eat tastes richer, the people you love feel dearer, and even challenges seem like teachers. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances instantly, but it changes the way you experience them. That shift in perception invites more peace, more joy, and more clarity into your life. On the other hand, focusing on what you lack drains your energy, blinds you to possibilities, and makes you a prisoner of your own expectations. The mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy depending on where it chooses to look. When it looks outward with comparison, it suffers. When it looks inward with understanding, it finds peace. You have to consciously train your mind, like a muscle, to focus on what uplifts rather than what disturbs. This training takes time, but every moment you redirect your focus, you reclaim your power. There's a story of a little boy learning to ride a bicycle. His father told him, "Keep your eyes on the path, not on the rocks." But the boy, scared of falling, kept staring at the rocks, and every time he'd crash right into them. The father gently said, "You always go where your eyes go." The same is true for life. If you keep focusing on what you fear, you'll keep riding straight into it. But if you fix your gaze on where you want to go, your life naturally follows that direction. So, when your mind begins to dwell on what's wrong, Gently shift it toward what's right. When you feel overwhelmed by what you've lost, bring your focus to what remains. When you feel unsure about the future, focus on the strength you have in this moment. Remember, your focus is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it upon grows. If you focus it on worry, worry grows. If you focus it on wisdom, wisdom grows. Align your thoughts with divine wisdom, and you will discover that life starts flowing with a rhythm far deeper than your own plans. When your mind is in tune with truth, compassion, patience, and gratitude, you begin to see how the divine operates silently behind every moment, every encounter, and every challenge. Most of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from how we think about what happens. We want things to go according to our own timelines and expectations. But divine wisdom whispers, everything has its time, and every delay has its purpose. The moment we align our thoughts with that understanding, peace replaces panic and calm replaces chaos. Have you ever noticed how rivers never rush? They flow with grace, winding around rocks and obstacles. Yet they always reach the ocean. The river doesn't fight the stone, it finds a way around it. That is how divine wisdom guides life, gently, naturally, without force. But when we resist the current, when we think we know better than the flow, we exhaust ourselves. Aligning your thoughts with divine wisdom means trusting that there is a higher intelligence orchestrating everything, even when your human mind cannot see the full picture. Many times in life, we question why certain things happen to us, why we lost something we wanted, why a relationship ended, why a door closed. But with time, when we look back, we often realize that what felt like a rejection was actually redirection. What seemed like chaos was actually construction. When you think with the smallness of your ego, everything feels unfair. But when you think with the vastness of divine wisdom, everything feels purposeful. You begin to understand that you are not the driver of life. You are the passenger, and the divine knows exactly where you are meant to go. There's a beautiful story about a potter and his clay. The clay cried out in pain as the potter pressed, shaped, and spun it on the wheel. "Why are you hurting me?" The clay complained. The potter smiled and said, "I'm not hurting you, I'm forming you." Later, when the pot was baked in fire, the clay cried again, "No, you're burning me." The potter replied, "This heat will give you strength. Without it, you'll never hold anything valuable." That is divine wisdom. It sees beyond the moment. When your thoughts align with that understanding, even life's pressures begin to feel purposeful because you trust the potter's hands. Every day we wake up, we have a choice to think with fear or to think with faith. When we think with fear, we rush, we compare, we complain, we resist. But when we think with divine wisdom, we accept, we trust, and we grow. Divine alignment doesn't mean you stop acting. It means you act from clarity, not chaos. It means your thoughts are guided by truth, not by temporary emotions. When patience becomes your foundation, even waiting becomes peaceful. When gratitude becomes your lens, even the smallest blessings feel divine. A person who aligns their thoughts with divine wisdom doesn't get carried away by every storm. They learn to see meaning in the winds that blow and lessons in the rain that falls. When things go wrong, they don't panic. They pause and say, "What is life teaching me through this?" That simple shift transforms struggle into strength. Divine wisdom teaches you that every experience, pleasant or painful, is a messenger carrying insight for your soul's evolution. In daily life, this alignment looks simple but powerful. Suppose someone insults you. Your immediate reaction may be anger or hurt. But if your thoughts are aligned with divine wisdom, you pause and reflect. This person's words are a reflection of their inner pain, not my worth. You choose peace over pride, or imagine you face failure after working hard for something. Instead of sinking into self-pity, you think, maybe this wasn't meant for me right now. Maybe there's a better door opening that I cannot see yet. That is divine thinking, to trust even in uncertainty. When you live this way, miracles begin to happen in quiet ways. You find that people who hurt you become your greatest teachers in forgiveness. Situations that break you build you into someone stronger. Delays that frustrate you prepare you for something far greater. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with divine timing. You realize that the universe is not against you, it is shaping you. You no longer chase every desire. Instead, you align your desires with what serves your higher good. Divine wisdom also reminds us of humility. The more we grow spiritually, the more we realize how little we actually control. Just as the moon doesn't fight to shine, it simply reflects the sun's light. A wise person doesn't fight to prove their greatness. They simply reflect divine light through their actions and words. They become patient when others hurry, compassionate when others criticize, peaceful when others panic. This calmness doesn't come from passivity, it comes from alignment. When you start living with divine alignment, your thoughts naturally move from why me to what can I learn. You no longer see life as random. You see it as divinely designed. You begin to notice synchronicities, moments where things just fall into place, where answers arrive at the right time, where people show up just when you need guidance. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations that you are in harmony with the flow of life. Every thought creates an emotion, and every emotion creates an action. This is the silent chain that shapes the destiny of every human being. We often wonder why we react the way we do, why we lose our calm, why we speak harshly, why we procrastinate, or why we doubt ourselves. The answer lies not in the outer world, but in the subtle movement of our inner thoughts. The mind thinks, the heart feels, and the body acts. That is the natural order. If you wish to change your actions, you must first purify your thoughts, because your thoughts are the roots, and your emotions and actions are the fruits. Imagine your thoughts as drops falling into a lake. Each drop creates ripples that spread far beyond the point of impact. The thoughts you think, whether peaceful or disturbed, ripple through your emotions and shape the entire vibration of your being. When your thoughts are filled with gratitude, calmness follows. When they are filled with fear, restlessness follows. We cannot live in peace if our thoughts are in pieces. The mind, when left unguarded, can create emotional storms that destroy our clarity and lead to impulsive actions. But when the mind is conscious, emotions become balanced and actions become wise. Consider a moment of anger. Before you speak words you later regret, there was first a thought, this person disrespected me. I am being treated unfairly, or I can't take this anymore. That single thought ignites a spark in your emotions, and the spark soon becomes a flame of anger. When that flame takes over, you act in haste, saying or doing something hurtful. Later, when the flame cools, regret remains. If only you had paused at the level of thought, you could have prevented the fire from spreading. This is how powerful thoughts are. They decide whether we create peace or pain in every interaction. Now imagine a different scenario. Someone says something harsh to you, but instead of reacting, your thought is, maybe this person is going through something painful. Let me respond with understanding. That one compassionate thought creates a calm emotion, which leads to a peaceful action. You speak with grace instead of anger, and what could have become conflict becomes connection. The situation is the same, only the thought has changed, but that one shift changed the entire outcome. That is how divine thinking transforms life. Our emotions are not random, they are responses to the quality of our thoughts. If you think constantly about everything that could go wrong, anxiety grows. If you think about what is going right, peace grows. When you dwell on the past, you feel sadness. When you worry about the future, you feel fear. But when you stay in the present, appreciating what is, you feel contentment. You can see this in your daily life. If you start your morning with gratitude, even small inconveniences won't disturb you. But if you start your morning complaining, even small blessings won't satisfy you. Your thoughts are the weather of your emotions. They decide whether your day is sunny or stormy. Many people try to control their emotions directly, telling themselves, I shouldn't feel sad or I shouldn't be angry. But emotions cannot be silenced by force. They can only be transformed by changing the thought that created them. If you feel jealousy, it's because your thought is comparing your life to someone else's. Replace that thought with one of gratitude. I have enough and I'm growing at my own pace. And the jealousy dissolves naturally. If you feel fear, it's because your thought is imagining the worst. Replace it with trust. Whatever happens, I will learn and grow, and the fear begins to fade. The emotion follows the master, and the master is thought. It's just like planting seeds. If you sow seeds of bitterness, you cannot expect to harvest joy. The soil of your mind will only give you what you plant. So be mindful of the inner dialogue that runs silently through your day. When you think thoughts of kindness, your emotions become soft and nurturing, and your actions spread peace wherever you go. When you think thoughts of judgment or resentment, your emotions become heavy, and your actions create distance. Even your body responds to your thoughts. When your thoughts are anxious, your breath becomes shallow, your muscles tense, your heartbeat rises. But when your thoughts are peaceful, your entire being relaxes. You can literally feel the difference between a fearful thought and a faithful one. One contracts you, the other expands you. That's why people who live with calm, positive thoughts tend to radiate warmth and health. Their minds are their medicine. There's a beautiful moment in every challenge where you get to choose your thought before your thought chooses you. In that small space lies your freedom. Between what happens and how you react, there is always a pause, and in that pause, you can either create peace or destroy it. If you let the mind wander, it will repeat old patterns of anger, doubt, or fear. But if you bring awareness to your thought, you can reshape it in alignment with wisdom. Over time, this practice turns reaction into reflection and chaos into clarity. A wise person once said, "You can't stop the birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair." Negative thoughts may come, but you don't have to let them stay. You can watch them, let them pass, and choose higher thoughts. The more you do this, the more your emotions settle and your actions become rooted in understanding. Slowly, life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a dance, graceful, flowing, and balanced. The power to reframe is the power to rise. Life will never stop throwing challenges, disappointments, or moments of pain our way. But what decides whether those moments break us or build us is the meaning we attach to them. The same event that defeats one person can awaken greatness in another. simply because of how they choose to interpret it. Reframing does not change what happened, it changes how we see what happened, and that small shift in perception can completely transform the direction of our life. When we learn to see life through the lens of growth rather than grievance, pain becomes a teacher, failure becomes a stepping stone, and every obstacle becomes a doorway to deeper wisdom. Every person carries within them the power to rise above circumstances, but most forget that it begins in the mind. Think of a glass of water. If it's half full, one person will say it's half empty, while another will say it's half full. The glass is the same, only perception differs. Yet that difference in perception shapes the emotion that follows. The one who sees lack feels dissatisfaction. The one who sees abundance feels gratitude. Reframing doesn't mean ignoring the truth. It means choosing to see the empowering side of it. It means asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? That single question can shift your entire life experience from victimhood to victory. A woman once shared how she lost her job unexpectedly. At first, she was devastated. Her mind kept repeating, "This is unfair. My life is ruined." But after some time, she began to reframe her situation. Instead of seeing it as a loss, she started seeing it as redirection, an opportunity to pursue the career she had always dreamed of but never had the courage to try. Within a year, she was thriving in a business that fulfilled her heart. The loss didn't disappear, but her perception changed, and that change transformed her life. This is the essence of reframing. It turns endings into beginnings. It doesn't erase the past, but it frees you from being trapped by it. Life is not defined by what happens to you. It's defined by what you choose to see in what happens. Every person you meet, every pain you face, every detour you take is shaping you for something greater, even if you can't see it yet. When you learn to reframe, you move from asking, "Why me?" to saying, "Try me." You start seeing strength where you once saw struggle. In daily life, reframing can turn frustration into focus. Suppose you miss an opportunity you really wanted, maybe a job, a relationship, or a goal. Instead of drowning in self-pity, you can say to yourself, "If it didn't work out, it's because something better is being prepared for me." That shift fills your heart with faith rather than fear. Or imagine you face criticism from someone. Instead of thinking, "They are against me," you can think, "This is a chance to grow in patience and understanding." The situation remains the same, but your inner experience transforms completely. Even nature teaches us the art of reframing. The seed must break for the plant to grow. The caterpillar must dissolve to become a butterfly. The night must fall for the stars to appear. None of these transitions are pleasant, yet all are necessary. The divine never wastes a wound. Every pain carries purpose. When you trust this truth, you stop asking, "Why am I suffering?" and start asking, "What strength is being born through this?" That is the moment transformation begins. Reframing also helps us heal from the wounds of the past. Sometimes people hold on to bitterness for years because they never reframe what happened. They keep telling themselves, "That person destroyed my peace." But if you shift that thought to, "That person taught me self-respect," you instantly reclaim your power. The memory remains, but its meaning changes, and so does its power over you. The past no longer defines you, it refines you. The art of reframing turns every scar into a story of survival and every mistake into a message of growth. A wise person once said, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." This doesn't mean reality changes instantly, but your experience of it does. When you view a challenge as a teacher, you approach it with curiosity instead of fear. When you see rejection as protection, you stop chasing what doesn't serve you. When you see failure as feedback, you start learning faster and moving stronger. The outer world mirrors your inner world, and your perspective shapes that reflection. Every person you admire, the ones who have achieved greatness, peace, or wisdom, has mastered this inner art of reframing. They too have faced heartbreaks, losses, and disappointments, but they chose to rise instead of sink. They asked better questions. They turned pain into purpose, and they allowed life to polish them rather than poison them. The difference between breakdown and breakthrough is only a shift in perspective. If you ever feel stuck, remind yourself that you have the power to reinterpret your story. Instead of saying, you can say, I learned. Instead of saying, they left me, you can say, I found myself. Instead of saying, life is unfair, you can say, life is unfolding as it should. Every time you reframe, you raise your vibration. You stop being at war with reality and start dancing with it. That dance is where peace is found. Reframing is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about trusting that everything has a purpose. It's the conscious act of aligning your thoughts with divine perspective, seeing light even in the shadow. When you make this a habit, you become unshakable. Problems don't disappear, but they lose the power to disturb your peace. You begin to live from the understanding that nothing in life is wasted. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is carving strength, wisdom, and compassion into your soul.